Hey everyone, sorry that it's the late hour, but I'm finally getting the video done. Let's just say it's been hectic this week, but that's all right. We're coming up on week 24 of our Bible readings, and whereas we were in the Proverbs exclusively, now we're back to First Kings, Second Chronicles, the Psalms, and Proverbs. So let's do this overview. It won't be very long at all. First Kings chapters 5 through 9. What we have here is we see the temple is getting ready to be constructed. So in chapter 5, they're getting the materials ready. That's what we'll read about. But then in chapter 6, we discover that the temple is going to be built around 968 BC and it's going to finish in about 961 BC. And that's a significant date because sadly, as we will continue in the story, the divided kingdom comes about 30 years after the temple is constructed. But nonetheless, it takes 7 years for the temple to be built, and then Solomon has his own home, his own house, palace, whatever you want to call it. It is constructed there around the same time. It takes longer though. Chapter 8, read Solomon's prayer of dedication. It's really, really good. Just a great moment in the history of God's people. In chapter 9, we see the Lord reminding Solomon of his promise to establish David's throne forever. Now, ultimately, that is fulfilled in Jesus, not Solomon or any of Solomon's children who are fellow sinners. So I'll leave you to discover that in the reading. But then we turn to Second Chronicles chapters 2 through 8, and it's pretty much a retelling of what we learn in First Kings chapters 5 through 9. And you'll read again that prayer of dedication. I know it's repetitive, but read those chapters. And then we come to several of the Psalms, Psalm 134, 136, and then 146 through 150. And these are basically Psalms of praise. So they're very encouraging Psalms. Especially look at Psalm 146, verse 8, and see how Jesus can be rightly called Yahweh. That's the word Lord in all capital letters, not just the word Lord with a capital L and then little o, little r, and little d, which is Adonai. Jesus is rightly referred to as Yahweh. So just understand that. And Psalm 146, verse 8, I think will help make that clear. Then Proverbs 25 and 26, just two this week in the Proverbs, and we continue to see more wisdom, especially with regard to distinctions made between the wise one and the fool. Yeah, the fool, and the Proverbs talks about that. And this is not just being mean-spirited, but there are people who live in such a way that God would say you are living like a fool. But thankfully, he also tells us how the wise will live. Well, I hope that you have a great week in the Word of God. Again, I know it's later in the evening, but you'll do well. You'll do fine. We're almost halfway through this. Hard to believe. Have a great week in the Word of God, everybody. See you.